The history that Native and Black Americans have suffered with white supremacy, violence, terror, discrimination is horrific. And that discrimination goes on today in many ways. But that is not the story of our documentary. This is.
As Indigenous people, we've had to survive for centuries in order to be here today, in order to exist. And because of all of the intentional acts of genocide and suppression and oppression, we've had to survive. And so that's become a part of our lived culture.
The importance of the solidarity economy and cooperative economics, and particularly Black folks in the South having under those conditions in terms of duress, having to pull our collective resources together to be able to survive and to be able to control our own labor.
What's most important is these incredible stories of resilience and revitalization and rebirth and reemergence. I think the fact that, in many ways that we're still here is incredible, and a testament to the amazing resilience of our people. And I think that we can provide the solutions and a path forward for other communities across the globe to emulate in their own ways.
As a change agent in economic and social justice for over 45 years, I knew stories of resilience, well-being, and prosperity were taking root on reservations and in cities all across this land. And I set out on a road trip that covered 14,000 miles, lots of driving, little sleep, several rental car disasters, and I found these gems of hope and optimism, and my eyes were opened to so much more.
Western colonizer society is very much individualism and individual wealth accumulation and individual asset accumulation and what's best for me. That word power is not even a part of our Lakota language. It's something that's so foreign because it's not rooted in anything that's in our value system. It was always about the greater good. It was always about what's best for the whole nation, what's best for the earth, and not what's best for the individual.
We talk about that. We talk about our unhoused relatives don't need more policing, right? We don't need for the city and for the police to criminalize poverty. We need connection. We need relationality. We need those relationships. We need to be a community and take care of each other.
African American mutual aid started pretty much on the boats. When we were dragged here forcibly in chains, we were helping each other, even though on the boats we were, the captors wouldn't even let people who spoke the same language or who were from the same community be chained together. So, I mean, that kind of mutual aid and camaraderie is really incredible when you think about it, whether it was supporting a whole group to jump overboard, whether it was supporting a group to have a resurrection, or whether just surviving the trip over here. So from then, we had this sense, I think probably from the way that African cultures had also had a sense of mutuality and communalism, and then we practiced it wherever we could.
It's not that Indian people can't do business, it's they don't value profit over community. They don't value profit over life. So we were never going to succeed by their metrics, because a tree only has value once it's cut down and its board feet on the market.
How can we build, not having one big company where you have hundreds and hundreds of employees, but looking at models in these neighborhoods where we could, create several companies with, 50 employees at a time, where we could build wealth in the community.
We are at a pivotal moment in history to reimagine finance, to redefine finance, and reprioritize our funding. Reprioritize what money can do. We can reverse the script, rewrite the rules of money, reverse the script so that money can be used to help and heal our communities rather than harm.
People often wonder in this country, how are we going to put fundamental beliefs about We're all one, our connected humanity and wealth is more than money into actual practice. So it makes a real difference for us in our lives and in our futures. Well, Native and Black Americans are doing it, and here's how.
So we have, on our 34 acres, we have a regenerative community development. It's one of our 8 initiatives. Currently, we have 21 single-family homes, 7 are complete. Our broader goal for this community is to be net zero. We are designing a truly Lakota total immersion school that we will construct here on our 34 acres in the near future.
It's an immersion program. They'll hear the educators, including myself, always in the language, always speaking Lakota with them, and so it becomes their norm of every place they go, from whether they're eating in a cafeteria area, or if they're out to recess. The teachers will always be engaging with them and asking them questions, to creating dialogue with them.
It is an indigenous school, but we are very inclusive. Anybody can come to the school and apply to come to the school that would like to attend. So yeah, it's going to be focused on, indigenous education. We are going to be accredited by the state of South Dakota. We are also going to be COSA accredited, so there's an accreditation for Oceti Sakowin Essential Understandings. We're going to have both of those accreditations. The Oceti Sakowin Essential Understandings, that's the 7 council fire understandings. The Oceti Sakowin are the people that walked on this land first. And these understandings were created by elders.
So, the Wolakota Regenerative Buffalo Range is a 28,000 acre buffalo range that will be home to 1,500 animals that will be able to produce between 300 and 400 surplus buffalo per year. At 28,000 acres and 1,500 buffalo, it will be the largest Native American owned and managed buffalo herd in the world.
When I first came to Lakota Funds in 2008, I thought a credit union is so different, is different enough than a bank because it is member owned, and not to make some bank board members, owners wealthy. Right. Until Lakota Federal Credit Union was chartered, there was not a single bank, federally insured financial institution depository on the Pine Ridge Reservation.
We are providing seed funding for children's savings accounts. By providing a $100 opening account deposit, this is not going to pay for college, but if families are able to put a little bit of money in, some are putting in $5, $10 a month, some maybe at birthday or at a special holiday. We're trying to start the youth when they're younger with opening the accounts, and then help their families to think that it can be an option to go to school, and the kids too. So it's kind of about changing the expectations and trying to build in more hope there. To our knowledge, are the largest seed-funded Native Children's Savings Account program for youth, Native youth in the country.
The Greater University Circle Initiative was incorporated as a place-based strategy working with the anchors. And at that time, we were looking at employee-assisted housing. We were looking at how to create jobs. So again, the Evergreen Co-ops, it wasn't on the table at that time, but quickly became the one thing everybody could get behind.
The model is such that no less than 80% of the ownership or the equity of any of those businesses is held by the employee owners.
Wow.
So there can never be a dilution event of any sort, no private equity or outside investment that, that might take that ownership level down. Once an employee becomes an employee owner, which is a 1-year eligibility period, and then he or she is voted upon by the existing worker owners, so that's step one. Okay. They immediately begin to build equity in the company. They're immediately fully vested for profit sharing.
The land trust model is a way for people to not only own housing that's affordable, but then to kind of pass that on to the next buyer who needs affordable housing. Mm-hmm. So essentially just kind of recycling that affordability from one family to the next. And so because access to housing is becoming more and more challenging, people are willing to consider the idea of the community land trust model and the idea of not owning the land and the idea of sharing equity with the next buyer.
We have community land trust. We have our Freedom Farms Co-op. We have our Green Team Cooperative. And then the other one primarily is the Community Production Center. But the main thing, just so folks know that it is actually working on is learning how to produce housing, right? Like different types of 3D print housing. One will look similar to a yurt, kind of a round structure, right? The other one is much more kind of traditional, and then there's two experimental kind of stilt design.
In November of 2019, we actually had our vote on Resolution 126R19, which was to establish reparations for the Black community in Evanston using the cannabis sales tax revenue. There were a lot of different recommendations, and we narrowed that down to what today is a $25,000 direct benefit for housing equity that will build wealth immediately through equity.
And the deposit base for a public bank are the taxes, the fees, the fines, the funds, the revenue that our city accrues, which then leverages to create loans just like any other bank. But the difference between a public bank and a private bank is with a public bank, the interest and profit belongs to the community. So rather than it gets siphoned out of state by private Wall Street bankers and private shareholders, that money stays here.
There's big profit in the prison industry, created in large part by the unequal justice in the courtroom.
Public defenders are handling 300, 400, 500 felony cases, 600 misdemeanor cases. And our whole profession, and I want to be clear on this, trial judges, this happens in front of them every single day and they see it, okay? So state Supreme Court judges, the bar associations, the bar disciplinary committees, the state Supreme Courts, the United States Supreme Court, everybody knows this. I'll state it in its simplest terms. Lawyers may not represent more clients than they can competently represent.
I can tell you in one of our offices, we had what was called a wait list. So if you applied for services in our office, there weren't enough attorneys to take all the cases. So if you were not confined, your case would be put on a list and you would be told, we will get to you when we have an attorney available. I was checking the numbers on that office's wait list recently and saw that it was gone. And I called the attorney who runs the office and I said, where's your wait list? I can't find it. It's not in the database. And she said, well, we don't have it anymore. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have it? How did you do that? She said, you gave me 2 more attorneys. That's how I did it.
These are continuing stories of hope, determination, and optimism.
The transformation that we're trying to effectuate in our community really is this transformation of healing to hope to liberation. Because once you start on your healing journey, you're able to heal from historical traumas, from existing traumas, ongoing traumas. You're able to find hope again. Hope that life can be better, that life can be different. You can start to dream again.
The political economy in which we all live has already passed its end date. Signs of dysfunction are everywhere. And so another system is coming. And the real question, I think, for those who genuinely care about others and care about the future, our children or other people's children, future generations, is what kind of system should we transition to?
Our documentary shares these very compelling stories of resilience and powerful change. I'm Janet Roberts. Thank you for your time.